Hey everyone, CPO here, and in this video I'm going to be talking about another update from Ratta for the Supernote devices. This time it's for the A5/A6, the Linux version, not the X version. Yeah, so my A5X, no love today. Today is all about the A5. And yeah, really simple update. As a matter of fact, let me just show you real quick what we have here. So I'm going to go to the Supernote website, click Service, come down here and click System Updates, and then scroll and you can see the firmware. So A5, A6X, which was released 4/26. I already talked about that in a previous video. And then now what we're dealing with is the Supernote A5 firmware right here, released today, May 10th, 2021. Really, the big thing for me is gesture erasure feature, which we're going to talk about. I'll show you some examples of that. And then some of you guys are happy about the comic book archive support, Fiction Book 2, and OpenXPS. So if that's something you've been waiting for, which some of you that's true, then this will be huge. But really, that is it. It's got a couple new features released again to the A5 version. If you have an A6, it's also available in that, but it is a separate firmware download. So let's go back to this display here. And yeah, this is my device. By the way, I'm rocking today on the A5. This is my Lamy pin. And one thing I guess I should point out to you is I'm using a different Lamy pin body. So a lot of you may not be aware. Actually, let me just do this real quick. Move this. This will all come together in a second. So the Lamy pin, as you get it from Supernote, or if you buy the Lamy electronic tablet pin separately, it's going to be like this, black. It only comes in one color. It does have a button erase for those of you that like that kind of a thing. So yeah, that's that. However, what you may not be aware of is Lamy, put this back together, also makes fountain pens. And that happens to be what this is. I've been a Lamy fountain pen user for quite a while. This is a legit fountain, well, I'll leave the cap there, fountain pen. And then what happens is I have a refillable ink cartridge that I can fill with ink, fountain pen ink, just like this. So I use these Lamys for fountain pen writing. But as it turns out, you can pop that guy off there and pop this guy off here. You can interchange the Lamy parts with one another. So now I can have a little bit of a color with a pen that writes electronically. Can't spell. It's okay. So yeah, that's how that works. And actually, to be fair, I've got this little spacer here off of the fountain pen. So it works just the same, except I add a little bit of color to my life. So yeah, let me erase this whole page here. So yeah, that's what's going on there. And by the way, another pro tip, I guess, besides adding color, is the ability to stick the pen here. The problem with these cases, the older style cases, I know somewhere's my A6, there you go. If you get the A6, the Lamy edition, it has a fatter pin holder to put your Lamy pin, but some of the other cases do not have that. There's no way this is going to fit in there, the cap anyway. So you can either do what I did there, just stick that in there and then use it, or what I tend to do is actually just clip the cap in that way, and then it works the same. It's held there, and I use it when I need it. So that's what's going on there. Yeah. It's a lot of talk to show you a firmware update. So yeah, I updated this morning, and basically two things. First is probably the bigger one, is the gesture for erase, right? So if I put 2 fingers and hold them down, I've now just converted this into an eraser, and it does the selection erase, right? And just to prove that it's not because I'm using a Lamy pen that actually has, let me erase that. The Lamy does have a way to do this with the button, but just to prove that's not what's going on here. Here's my Heart of Metal pen, which does not have a button. I kind of wish it did, but maybe now not so much. This is kind of a game changer, actually. So this is how we erase. 2 down was how we erase, because 2 fingers, erase that, erase all of that. So I find this really quick to erase something. And it can also be pretty precise. Again, if you pay attention to how much space, let's just turn that into quack. But yeah, I like it. It's really easy. And some of you have had problems. I guess the key is to maybe close and reopen your notebook. But ever since I've done the firmware update, I haven't had any problems erasing out. Oh, there we go. I'm trying to figure out if I can make it not work, but now there are some serial numbers. Apparently, if you have a serial number that ends in 160 or lower, you may have some issues with gesture conflicts. My serial number is higher than that, so I don't have any real issues. This is how. And was, I guess we'll make it that. That was how you erase 2 fingers. I like it. I think it's really nice. I prefer that over a button on the pen. I think it's faster. I prefer it to flipping the pen over, like with my Remarkable. Where are you at, Remarkable? So I have a Remarkable marker here. Does work on other markers, by the way. So this is me doing it with a Remarkable marker. Now the marker will erase. It erases poorly because it's the actual stroke eraser. So you have here, you can set your eraser width, and actually let me give you some lines here. So if I turn this over, it's going to erase just the width of that stroke. If I hold 2 fingers down, it's going to erase a whole section. But yeah, lots of options here. It would be cool, I guess, if they configured it to where you could choose between the selection erase feature or the stroke erase feature. Kind of like, you say, I want 2 fingers to give me a selection, versus doing it maybe like the marker, or actually physically going in and choosing this option and doing a stroke erase while you have your fingers held down. They don't give you the option for that, but that might be an interesting opportunity for the future. But for now, don't get me wrong, I'm super pleased with the ability to just be able to quickly erase something that I made a mistake on right there quickly, without having to go find a button or push a button on the pen. So yeah, that is the 2-finger gesture for erasing, and it works out really well, I think. All right, so one more thing I do want to show you is the comic book. I'm not a comic book guy, so I'm not going to pretend like I am. I did go get a CBZ file. So comic book zip format is now what they can read, and that's a new thing apparently. Now there is CBR and CBZ. I did try a CBR format, which is a comic book RAR file. Instead of zip, it's compressed with RAR. That did not work, but the CBZ does. Interesting thing of note here, and this would be a good example, how valuable contrast control can be on these. Like you can see what I have here, but if I want to lower the contrast on this, turns out there's quite a bit of stuff hidden in here that I don't see at my default contrast levels. So make sure anytime you're doing stuff like this, PDFs, comic books, whatever, make sure you play with your contrast settings, because like honestly, I don't even remember if these guys were down here in the standard contrast that I use, which is about, yeah, you can just barely see them. So yeah, for me, comic books, low contrast seems to be a game changer. But yeah, this is comic book zip format, CBZ, and I just picked one to grab, and seems to be working as expected. So there you go. You've got a couple options here. But yeah, I'm not a comic book guy, but I wanted to show that because that is a new feature. So some of you are going to be super stoked about that. Anyway, guys, like really, that's it. That's all I have for you. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.